we're out on strike because we haven't got an agreement from the TfL or LUL about the future of the pension scheme, which is under threat. And at the moment, there's negotiations going on between the government, the Treasury, and Mayor Khan's office about the future funding of London Underground. They've cut £2 billion from the funding, and that has put at risk our members' pensions. They want to decimate the pension and change it into an entirely different, cheaper scheme, which will make all our members poorer in retirement and probably pay more while they're working. So we haven't got an agreement on that. And there's also threats to terms and conditions. We want a promise and a commitment that the terms and conditions won't be diluted. And there is a threat of a loss of jobs in certain sections of the underground. Well, there have been talks, lots of times. There's been a whole series of talks, but we're excluded from the talks because the main discussion is going on between the government and the Mayor's office, and they won't even disclose the numbers involved, which runs into billions of pounds. But essentially, Mayor Khan is offering our members terms and conditions as a hostage to get the funding of the railway and the bus services as well, the whole of TfL, pushed downwards. So there are a lot of problems. We've got Arriva Rail London out on strike today, London Underground and Unite, fellow union, has got their bus workers out because they're suffering from low pay, but our members are being threatened with their pensions being cut to pieces and being poorer going forward. Well, we would hope so. I mean, they've got to get us around the table so we can talk about their issues, but at the minute there's a complete stalemate. That stalemate starts between the two authorities, which is the government and the Mayor. And so it's very difficult for us to know what's going on. There's not any meaningful discussion between us and the employer because the employer doesn't know how much money it's going to have. And that's not a way to run a major global city. We've got to have a settlement that allows the people of London to get a decent transport system and the workers on this system to be assured of their future. Well, we haven't got a pay issue on London Underground at the minute because we're still in the deal, a long-term deal that was hanging over from the past pay agreement. But we will have a pay agreement going into the new year. We'll be looking for negotiations, and that's going to be a really difficult period. So the issues that are involved on London Underground may get more serious and right across TfL, because if they haven't got any funding from the government, it's going to be difficult. But the government has cut £4 billion off the railway. The mainline railway has lost £2 billion. And TfL has lost £2 billion, so that's going to affect every worker, but it will also affect the services that Londoners can expect going forward. And Mayor Khan has spoken about closing down whole tube lines, and there are major cuts to the bus services. So that's going to affect everyone in this town and surrounding areas as well. So we can either have austerity or we can have properly funded public services. Well, because if we're not showing them that we're being serious, they will just chop up our members' terms and conditions and our pensions. If we're not invited to negotiations, what other means can we have to influence those negotiations? So we've got to show them that we're deadly serious about the future of the services across all of TfL, but also across our members' conditions, because we don't know what they're discussing. It's like being locked out of a process that we should rightly be at the table. Well, we'll take it steady. We're not going to rush in. We've got the National Rail, we've got London Underground, and Unite have got bus workers out. We'll consider that as we go and as we get reports from the Mayor and from his senior team at LUL, and we'll see what responses we're going to make. But we're constantly pressuring them for more information. At the moment, we've got no information, so it's likely that we'll have to use our mandate for strike action going forward. Well, we'll imagine that we'll be speaking to TfL again next week, looking for info, but they won't give us any information, so this is a deadlock at the moment. We'll discuss it with our members and in our branches and our reps and see what action we've got to take next and what's most appropriate. I can't tell you exactly what the next steps are. That will be decided by our members in their discussions, and they'll inform the leadership of the union what they want to take, and we'll make that decision together. Well, we're very sorry that people are inconvenienced. I mean, we're inconvenienced people that are in the same boat as us. We're ordinary men and women that want to do our jobs and provide a service. But when you're being cut to pieces by an employer and by the government, you've got to make a stand. So we're making that stand on behalf of our members, but many other workers in Britain are suffering very similar things, and you're going to see a wave of this type of action. We can't stand by and watch our conditions be chopped up. Otherwise, it will just be a race to the bottom for all British workers. So we're hoping that people have a lot of sympathy for us, and the reaction we've had from the public across this whole period for the last few months has been very positive. So that's encouraging, and we're hoping that every British worker gets a square deal from corporate Britain at the end of the day.